Hey, top of the morning to you. I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for being on Roodoodles Live this morning. It is, I don't know what day it is. Oh, it's the 9th of November. Holy smokes. And the question that always follows that in people's statements, comments, mindset is, where does the time go? No one has ever been, even Einstein couldn't answer that, okay? And so I'm not going to answer anything that he wouldn't. All right, so hey, welcome to Roodoodles Live. Michael, let me say hello a little bit. Some of you probably just saw what I painted there. And that song is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So how long does it take me to paint a bee? Some people ask. Well, 2 minutes and 37 seconds. A bee this size, by the way. And that's just not letting it dry. That's just letting it sort of run together just like this. Take a look. Boom. There it is right there. I kind of like this messiness of this bee. It looks like he's a working bee. Wait, the bee is a worker. Then there's drones, and there's the queen. And then there's, of course, the worker bee. And so thank you for you guys. Let me say hello to the folks who already jumped on the show this morning. And then I had a busy week, and I've just had a fun morning. I actually made a cup of tea, and I read a book. This sounds a little self-serving, but my grandson is here, and also a foreign exchange student that we have for a few days. That my son and his wife are on a journey, and so she's staying with us too. Cool young lady from Germany, and so she's not up yet. But I promised them both pancakes and a breakfast later. But what I did first was I read Ken, my little 5-year-old, a book, and I said, "Who do you think wrote this book?" And he said, "You." And I said, could you be a little more enthusiastic? And so, but he was right. And I read him, Hey, Roo, what's a wheelbarrow? And I honestly hadn't read the book myself, probably in a year and a half. I've held it up on my desk, and I'll do so. And what made me think of it is this week, when I was doing the storytelling thing, I just had my big bag, and I've got this huge bag. I should show it to you. And I took all my books with me, and I had Hey, Roo, what's a wheelbarrow there? And this morning I sat down and read it, and I said, what is a wheelbarrow? And he said, I think you put stuff in it. And I went, you're brilliant for a 5-year-old. And then he wanted to see, he didn't let me get past the grasshopper. And I thought, wow, I really love reading that. So I'll do more on that a little later, but it's really fun to read my book. And so I say that to not just be braggadocious, but to say when you create a project of some sort, when you start to feel what that project does, and you get to share that with family, with kids and grandkids. And that one sort of came out of the question that my grandkids asked me, Hey, Roo, what's a wheelbarrow? And I go, wow, that's a good question. And that was the book, and how I was born. And some people said, but how did you know how to illustrate it? I said, well, I didn't. I wrote the book a long time before I actually could paint roosters well enough to illustrate it. So big old honeybee this morning. Let me say hello. Karen Binder-Bender, thanks for being on the show too. Linda Edwards-Small, always great to have you on. June Jones, thank you so much for being on. Denise Albright, all the way out from way up early California. Deborah Spangler, thank you for being on the show. Andy McBean, thank you so much. Highlands of Potomac, West Virginia. Alice Durham from Boiling Springs. Wow, South Carolina, not the one. We have a Boiling Springs in North Carolina, I think. And Kay Marie Piker, thank you for being on the show. Bees, and more bees. Yeah, still got bees on the mind, but I'm going to finish this bee, and I'm going to offer you something here in just a little bit. It's really cold, or California cold, is that right? Morning from Bob Cool Crystal up north in Minnesota. Bob, how you doing, man? Good to have you on the show. Linda Schleitning, Cindy Simons Wiltermood, thank you for being on the show. Laura Stanley Handelmeyer Henderson, great to have you here. June Jones says her AC just came on. Mine did yesterday afternoon. It was kind of warm here. Crystal McElhaney, thank you for being on the show. Elaine Barnett, Jennifer Yentz, good morning to you. Beverly Bailey, Central Florida. Miss Carla, peeps to all the peeps in our creative barnyard. Or is that beep beep? It's beep beep or peep peep. I'm not sure. Morning, Mike Cheryl from St. Simons. Huh. There's a voice out of my past, a person out of my past. Cheryl Rayner Nelson, thank you. And Trish Brown, good to have you on the show. All right, that'll get us started. I'm going to finish this painting this morning, and here's why. Some of you have been following what I did this week. I have been painting small bees. In fact, there's none of them here on the desk, and I didn't even have my other book. But you know what I've been painting out of? Those small little journals. I wanted them all to be 3.5 by 3.5 or 3.71 or something. It's just some strange size. But anyway, uh, it's great to paint those little books. It's a little, you got to go through and cut all the stitching out, but it's decent watercolor paper on a small scale. Let me say what I mean by that. Some of you know I love 140-pound cotton cold press watercolor paper. It's my go-to paper. This is Kilimanjaro. What does it look like? It looks like this right here. Kilimanjaro. It's bright white. It's 100% rag cotton. It's manufactured in London. It's been Cheap Joe's paper since I've been painting with Cheap Joe's products, which was what I first had. I happened to be in Boone at the time, and they said there's an art store up there. It used to be on Main Street, and I went and I just kind of went, I kept pushing my mouth back open. My jaw kept dropping open because I didn't have what my kids had at the University of Tennessee, which was Rickenbacker's, which was, I think it became Jerry's Artorama, but I think we spent thousands of dollars there for our kids so they could have great art supplies in college. Between that and the loans and everything else in scholarships, it was pretty remarkable. But I actually fell in love with art stores. It's just remarkable to me. But I have, no pun intended, but I have more than I need. And I found out that people asked me this week while I was painting, I want to know what you carry. What's your daily carry? And I go, I'm glad you asked me because I have it here in this little box. And then I'll go, no thanks, I don't care for an Altoid. And I go, I'm not giving you this one anyway because it's this. And I opened it up and they all go, everybody's response is the same. Where did you buy that? And I said, well, I didn't buy that. I bought the half pans and I put my tubes of American Journey paint in here. And I only did 5 colors for the longest time. And then I got a little quicker and a little lazier, maybe, because I started adding some colors up in the lid. And so the goal, is to give paintings away. And so I did. I gave Celeste a painting at this little place where I go get beautifully fried cod when I need a fish thing. There's a halibut on down the street, but this one's close to my house. It literally is 2.5 miles from here. I can be sitting at a place called the office. Come to the office. So, hey, hon, where are you? I'm at the office. Oh, but I'm having fish and chips. And I don't do away with the chips and just have sometimes I substitute those for onion rings. Whoa. In fact, I'm thinking it may be calling me today, but the point is this: that I sit there and I paint out of my little leather book. I paint 140-pound water paper color painting and paper, and I give them away. And it's just what happens. So I gave this, and I told you this story last week. I think I gave this lady one. She says, my name is Celeste, and I work for a company. And we did a furniture installation thing, a company CBI, and we used a couple print of bees. And she said, I'm going to keep this one on my desk. And so she called back the next morning and said, we talked about this in our office. We have an event coming up, a customer appreciation, and just all for our staff too. It's on our campus here in Charlotte. Could you paint some bees for that? And I said, sure. She said, we would contract you just to do that. She said, how about 40? And I said, sure, I can do that. And I can paint most of those live there. I'll just paint, and it'll be fun to demonstrate and talk to your guests. And you trust me, thank you. And then she called back the next morning and said, we had a discussion. There's been a lot of RSVPs. I mean, hundreds. Could you do 200 bees? We may have 350 or 400 people coming, and we'd like anyone who asks, and they could come up and ask for a bee, and or I would say, as they came up, have a bee on me. And so I gave away 200, and I think I'm probably going to drop 10 or 15 more off there just so that they make sure they get some out to guests. But the point is that the paper was perfect for that. It's just little journals. Okay, now. The thing I liked about those is that the tracking is a little more like Fabriano paper, whereas if you're painting a big piece of it, I can sort of see more of the tractor marks or the undulations in the paper that I personally like. But it's your style, your paper. Find something that works for you, whether it's hot press, cold press. And this is 140-pound cold press, and this is a big piece of paper, and we'll make a smaller painting out of it. So today, if you got some questions, I'm just going to run down a few things, because people asked me while I was standing there, how long does it take to paint a bee? The question is, how long is a rope? Am I talking like now? Well, or did I just come on the show and paint this and just let it run wherever it wanted to? It's going to take about 2 minutes and 44 seconds, because that's as long as that song was. And I started about 5 seconds late, and then I went over and made a hello. So boom, 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 boom. You understand it, okay? Dang it, now I want some fish. Beverly Beatty's wants some fish. Me too. All right. So, and my favorite fish, of course, is from Maine. It's haddock. And I think you get it other places, but the first time I had haddock was in Maine, that I just fresh oh my gosh. And so there's a place locally here that gets this, it's flash frozen, and it comes in, it's haddock, and it's just delicious. And so anyway, the point of giving away a card with something that you have on it with your site. Do you have a site? Do you have an email address? Sign it and put your email address on it if you want people to contact you. They never throw away original art. No one does. I don't throw away original art. When I get pieces from you guys, and trust me, I have some. Thank you. This is not a request, because I have some. I don't have enough wall space, and so I have it boxed up that I look at, and I have it in a enclosable plastic tub down there that every now and then I'll go through and I'll look at it. But my point is, when I get a small business card like this, I don't lose it if it's original art. And so this lady asked me the other night, she said, "Oh my gosh, I love your work." And I said, "Well, I have a bee." So she takes a bee and she's standing there and she said, "Really, I need to know how to get in touch with you. How do I get in touch with you? I need a business card." I said, "Ma'am, take a look what you own in your hand." And she goes, "Well, yes, I love this little bee." And I said, "No, that is your business card." And she goes, "Oh, you mean this is your..." Oh, and she said, "Well, I'm going to frame this and put it." And I said, "Then you've got my business card framed." And so that's kind of why I've been pushing you who come to this show and want to know how ideas are sustainable. I'm pushing you to do that sort of thing. Okay. So how long does it take to paint a bee? And so there were 6, 8, 10 people standing around my table there. And I stood up the whole time. And this lady said, "How long does it take to paint a bee?" And this guy named Austin said, I bet you can paint one in 15 minutes. And I said, "I can." And he said, "Wow. But I mean, finished, complete." And he said, "More than 15 minutes?" I said, "No." He said, "Can you do it in 10 minutes?" I said, "Again." He said, "Can you do it in 8 minutes?" And again. And then we keep going down. And so then I just said, what if I told you that on a 3x3 piece of paper, I could do one in 1 minute and 12 seconds. And he goes, "That's impossible." And so I said, "But while I'm talking, I might do it just a little bit slower." And so I took my piece of paper and I did it like this. And I just did it just what you saw me do right here. And I did the stripes on it. And then I said, "Okay, so that's painted." I did the wings on it. And then, and he said, "I don't understand how you can paint them so fast." And I said, "Here's how. Because you're looking at 200 laying out here tonight, or there's stacks over here, so you guys can sort through them." And people, they chose what they wanted, so they were all original. And some people said, "Oh, I have to have number 44 because that's my lucky number." And some said, "I don't care about the number. Can I have 3 of them?" And I go, "Well, you can't ask me about that, but everybody gets one. But if there's still some at the end of the evening, you want to come back," she says, "Well, I have 2 daughters." And I went, "Well, here, I'll paint another one." And so that happened. But then people came and they said, "Hey, could you do my spirit animal?" And I said, "I paint character animals and insects." And she said, "Could you do my spirit animal?" And I said, "What's that?" She said, "A dragonfly." And I said, "Is a dragonfly an animal?" That is an insect. But so I did her a dragonfly. And then someone asked if they could have a bee. And I put this in my post yesterday, to go in their infant's room, baby's room. And she said, I would like some pink in there. I said, "Yeah, you don't see a lot of pink bees, but you're going to get one." And so that was kind of fun. So my point is this. Be ready to answer questions and engage. My stories today that I want to stay in touch with you on is the following. Connect with people. Okay? Connect. I know some of you now are going to be teaching some workshops. I know Denise has one coming up, and several of you just really go through, how have the bees changed over the last few minutes? Could you show us samples, please? Miss Carla, Yes, they have changed some, but not too much, because I still do little bees like this one right here. Boom, there's a bee, and look, he's pretty correct in everything, and he's a lot more lighter and a lot more space in between, but he's painted with just little fine pen marks, and I didn't even put any paint in his wings. And so why do I have this bee? Well, he's not numbered, and he's not one of the bees that I'm holding out of my numbered parts. In fact, I'm at 1910. This will be 1910 today. The 200 I painted were numbered 1 to 200, and they didn't go into my 2000. So when I'm finished, I'm going to be in the 20. I'm going to be 2,200, 2,250 bees. Will I ever stop painting bees? Well, yeah, when I die, go to heaven. But my point is that I think I'll always, and yes, Miss Carla, my first ones were really crude, and I think if you go back and find some, I don't think I have any on my wall here. But the reason that I use the trash can is that when I paint a bad bee, I just throw it away until I get better at painting bees, because sometimes I'll just do a bee like this, and I'll just let it sort of be, you know what I'm saying? So I'll just do it like this, and then I'll do the little lines in here, and I'll bring it down, and so this is going to be the bee that I wanted to be. And then I'll put a little leg coming down here and one in the middle. And so see, that right there has become just this scribble sometimes can become my favorite little bees. It's just really remarkable how that happens. And nobody's going to go count the rings on your bee. You're not trying to do these for the Audubon Bee Society. And I know that's redundant, but you get what I'm going for, right? And by the way, I'm sketching today with a Extreme Gel Pen 05 from Yasutoma. Why? Well, because I actually, remember the old Tootsie Roll commercial where you say, how many licks can a Tootsie Roll take before you get to that center? 3? No, I painted all 200 bees with one of these, and basically ran out of ink, but I used it for about a week straight, here and there. And so it was really fun to call Phoebe and I sent out a little video and said, here's what happens, Phoebe, when you do 200 bees and use it. And what I was doing with those bees, by the way, was that when I would do those bees like this with their bodies, I would actually fill in some of this and just let my pen. This really works very much like the Pentel. They're both 05, and they both are gel. And so the refill's a little different. There may be a little more what I would call Payne's Gray in this pen than the other Pentel pen. But you see how a bee comes out, just kind of fun. They're really fun to do. So yes, and my answer to that question is, Miss Carla, is if you paint 50 bicycles, they'll all be different. And I'll guarantee you the 49th one will be better than the first one. But if you paint 500 bicycles, I will tell you, you will get you won't even have to put a quarter down or a silver dollar down to make the wheels. You'll just go zoom and you'll finish it. So that's how it goes. You just get better as you go. So that is the whole point in repetition. And people, you're going to meet people when you go out and you paint and you sell your wares. You're going to meet people who say, I just wish I could do that. And so you say, how hard are you wishing? Because it's stopping the wish and picking up a pen and start doodling every day with a cup of tea. And then they'll go, well, I don't even know if I could do that. And I'm saying, yes, you should. And so I'm going to put my T on this bee's wing right there. And I'm going to take a number, this is probably 8. A number 8 Miller's Pseudo Sable clean brush, and I'm going to dip it in my tea. And I'm just going to paint around the cup, just like this. Man, this is high tech, isn't it? People say, wow, you're such a perfect circle. And I go, yeah, and which is hard to find from a watercolor person. And I'm going to put a little splatter in here just as the great thing about using a number 8 brush like this is the Pseudo Sable brush. You could use an 8 nylon. You can use whatever you want. That's the fun part here. Here's a couple of all my American Journey brushes are in here. So, and I'm gonna let that cup just sit there for just a second like this. I'm gonna splatter a few more little pieces of this tea. Tea dries slower because of the tannic in it, a tannin in it. Is it tannic? Whatever the heck is in it. Leaves dry slower than the paint. So this pigment has something in it, but there's a lot of water I used in this too. All right, here we go. I'm gonna let it sit there for a second, and then this is how I do this. So it's a great question, but yes, you get better. Okay. Question. 94 photos of Flash Erie. Let me see if there's any other questions. If you have a question, just put QQQ in front of it, and I'll search. That's my only one so far, because most of you are catching up, keeping up. Okay, let it be. I'm painting high count pumpkins right now for Thanksgiving cards. Okay, that's fantastic. So here's the thing. The more you paint, the better you get. The more you paint, the better you get. So everybody wanted to know what my real job was, what I do. Could I paint a dragonfly? One lady said, could you paint an otter? In a word, no. Could I or would I? You asked the wrong question. Oh, would you paint an otter? No. So it's the same answer for me. Could you paint one? No, because I don't want to, but I could paint an otter, but it would probably take me 50 otters to get his face like I wanted it. And I'm going like, but then I just have to paint him like, you see that table leg over there? It already has legs. They're nice, and it's the color of an otter. And so that table was a little bistro table. And so she got the joke, and she said, oh, I guess you're right. I said, I paint colorful things. Look at my palette in this cast iron pan. All these are American Journey colors. And so and by the way, this is a real large cast iron pan. I repeat stuff like this because we have new people on the show so that you guys know what's going on. All right. So I'm leaving this sit there just for another minute. And, but I wanted to tell you a couple other things. Let's see. I made a couple notes here that some questions that people asked me that you might be, and here's who I was speaking to. I was speaking to graphic designers, architects, interior designers, Salesforce. And guess what happens in all of those things? Community needs to happen in all those things. And it does if you'll pull them in, and you will start speaking to them like, wow, tell me about your work. And so part of this is listening. And I know that's hard because this is a one-way street. I can't hear you guys. But when people are in the room, they're asking questions. And my deal for my fast brain works perfectly in that setting because I'm going like, yeah, hold on to that thought for a second because I'm going to come back to that and tie that in with this. And then when Austin came up and said, oh, my gosh, and I had he said, I just saw a little crab that you did. And I said, really? I said, I don't eat them really, except unless they're blue softshell crabs. He goes, man, that's where I'm from. There's nothing better than a blue softshell crab with all its legs hanging off and deep fried. And I said, okay, come back in 10 minutes and and so I just did him a rough little and gave it to him. And he's going like, he says what your folks will say when they come up and they get one of your pieces of art. I'm going to frame this. And I'm going like, that's what you should do with art. You should enjoy it. And when you're done enjoying it, give it away to someone else who can enjoy it for a while. And then you get something else. And I met a gentleman who collected art. That was fantastic. So my point is that here's what else I had that I want to show you guys. And then we'll get back to finishing this. And then I'm going to paint something else for you today. Okay? Hang on. Let me find it. Here it is right here. Okay, I took some paintings off of my bulletin board. You know the board I'm talking about, right? Let's see if we can see it from over here. Boom, there it is, right there. Where's my finger going over here? There it is right there. This board, of course, is my big wall over here. This fish hanging on the wall is made out of metal. My son did that as a school project. That's the one that has about 400 pop rivets in it. And it has a little engine room. So these little guys are in there controlling the fish. It's a mechanical fish. Art always looks better framed. Yeah, and I never see too many of my art framed. Sometimes I get pictures, and it's really fascinating to me. So thank you very much for sending those. All right, let me go back to this page here. Boom. All right. This is a little piece that lays on my desk when I go out and paint. There's my little photo, and here's Roodoodles.com. It says, go ahead, look me up, and then there's a little bio there. So when I say bio, I write stuff on there that I think is short, to the point, and people can either ask a question or they can go, he's absolutely lost his mind, or that scares me off, or whatever. Here's what it says. It says, I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm a granddad. I'm a singer, songwriter, storyteller, poet, actor, blacksmith, artist. It's the only time I ever say artist because you can't say things like an artist in here. producer, builder, dreamer, bad actor, love Jesus, love art, love my bon vivant wife. And so then, guess what happens when I have this laying there? So if you're going out to do a painting thing, and I'm speaking to some of you and you know who you are, uh, put yourself together a little QR code that takes you to maybe a video that you produce. And if you don't know how to do that, then we'll set up a call one day and I'll teach you, because all you have to do now is with my phone is pull in and scan this little thing, boop, and then it opens up to Roo says hello, boom. Hey, I'm Michael. Grandkids call me Roo. Last name means rooster, so there you have it. And Roodoodles, so Roodoodles, that's the name. Keep it simple if you're thinking like an artist. People say, "Are you an artist?" I go, I don't think so. So you've heard all of this, right? But some people haven't. And so that's what happens. And so then I'm locked into their site. And so then they can say, oh, that's your signature on the card, on what we got. Ta-da. Keep it simple, okay? So that's kind of where I go. All right, there's a part of that. I'm going to move this cup over just a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit more color right here around the edge. I like this coffee cup piece on here. And then I'm going to share what else we're going to do to this morning, and then I'm going to offer something to you. There's a little price attached to it because it's the only way I know how to get it to you, and it's not lightweight. So, but it's going to happen in just a second. And I need a swig of tea, so here I'll just pick it up. All right, there we go. All right. When I get a painting from a friend, I frame it, hang it on the wall in my art room. There you go. So you have an art room. See, I don't even have that. All right. All right. Morning, Tamberly Marie, Shanoa Holzputzak. There's no way I'm going to pronounce your last name. Holubzak. How'd I do? Okay. I'm painting pumpkins. I love that. I saw that. I love your flowers with the bees. Yeah, I'm going to do some comb on this one. I'm going to show you how I do comb really quickly in just a minute. Okay. All right. So my point is, if you haven't done a little bio like this, you need one that's either on a card that people can take with them, or you need something that they can clip with their camera real fast. So they'll take a shot of this and they have it as a photo, or they'll scan this QR code, and then guess what happens? It pops up to their link. And so that's very doable. And does that cost a lot of money? No. In fact, if you learn how to do it, this doesn't cost you anything. You can get a free QR code right there. You can just and print it. So if I'm doing some artwork, Sharon has been buying a lot of artwork for Christmas presents this year, and so I printed off a smaller version of this that she puts on the back of each art she's giving away. So boom. So all right, so here we go. I'm going to pull this. I'm going to turn the cup, press down on it, and just turn it a little bit like this. And I think that's perfect. Wow, what a coffee stain that is. That's beautiful. Now, let's go in and put some honeycomb in here. Some of you have seen this before. This is metal, and it is honeycomb pressed metal. And I had 2 8-foot sheets of this for a project that I was building, and it's pretty expensive per sheet. If some of you, I have a few of them, so I'm not going to offer it to, well, I'll offer it, but I'll cut you a piece of this. This is oversized. And by the way, the edges of it, you're on your own for that. It will cut you. But I mean, you're not going to get sliced like a knife, but you will if you hang it on clothes and stuff. So I'd put a piece of tape around it if I were you, just kind of, and I should probably have done that a long time ago, but I just keep it hanging on a little pin up here. And my point is that this is a great way just to quickly get that rough. We're not going to make perfect honeycomb, but instead of you penciling it all in, I mean, Martha Stewart made stencils, but she didn't make this. So this is steel. If you'd like a small piece of this, probably what? As big as an iPhone, maybe a little bigger than an iPhone, something like that. So just probably about so. I'll be happy to ship you a piece. I've got some and I can cut it. It's going to cost you $5 plus shipping. So shipping and packaging is $5. It's $4.63 from my house in an envelope. But I'll send you a piece if you want a little stencil piece. If you can get something like this, you might can find it at a metal recycling place. I don't know, but that's what I'd go look for. So if you can't find it, send me a note and say, I'd like a piece of this. And then you can just PayPal me or something, and I'll chop some pieces in my shop, and I'll try to shop. I'll try to cut them as quickly as cleanly as possible. But here's what I do. I just take a piece of it like this and I lay it down here, and I don't lay it straight. It'd be hard for me to do that, right? And then I'm going to either trace it with the pencil. In this case, I'm going to use a yellow flare pen, and I'm just going to go right here, and I'm going to go start right there, and I'm just going to do some little tracing around the edge like this, right over that tea stain. By the way, this would be great out of coffee too. So do what I do. Just pour yourself a cup, and then pour another cup of just about an ounce in the bottom. And there's some right there. And then I'm just going to go in here and maybe grab another little piece or two right here. No rhyme or reason to why I did it this way. Just drop it down. That's why a little small piece works. You can just kind of turn it wherever you want to turn it. And nobody cares but you, right? So, and don't you care too much. Just put it on there. Because what we're doing is we're just making it look like there's a little honeycomb. You can't see it. I've been on the look for this, but this would be great. Okay, so Linda, seriously, if you want a piece of this, I'll chop a piece like this, and you just, tag me with Venmo me or send me a note, and I'll send you an invoice, or you can PayPal me, and it'll be shipping, and I'm gonna put it in one of my mailer envelopes for you. So a small piece, slip it in, and I'll just send it on to those. And so let's call it $5. I've got some of it left over from a project. And my daughter wants it to do, we've done other projects with it, but I'll be happy to cut up one of the pieces into smaller pieces and send out. Now, what I do now is I just grab a brush, and I'm going to grab a small this is a number 4. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some yellow, and I'm going to keep this really wet and loose. I'm just going to touch. That's too much paint. So I'm just going to go in here and then just kind of come in, and in between some of this, I'm just going to go in like this. I'm not trying to be exact or too creative. I'm just tossing it in here like this. In fact, I think I'm going to go get some water first and just come in with water. This is watercolor. Coming up this week, I've got a journaling class that's getting ready to happen, and that should be fun. If you got some questions, fire them out to me. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of Gamboge, and I'm just going to go in and just let it kind of mess around in here like so. And I want some drips coming down like this. And I'll show you how to get some cool drips here in just a minute. Some of you probably know how to do this. And I do it differently every time. So do as I'm saying, not as I do. And then we'll go from there, okay? But see, some of those you can't even see that they're there. That little pin just kind of goes away. But you get a feel for the honeycomb. When you walk up close to it, you sort of get it. Now, watch this. I'm going to tilt my paper up like this. I'm just going to take some water, a little touch of paint, but mostly water, and I'm going to put it right here. And I'm just going to let it run down. Oh, sorry, my face is in the way. Watch this. We'll do it one more time right here. I'm just going to let a little paint right there, a little touch of paint right there, and then I'm just going to grab a little water and just let it break the surface so it runs down. A little more. A little more. Now there it goes. Boom. Now it's heading down the hill. See it? Okay, boom. So that's all I want. I'm going to get rid of that's too big a glob right there. But that'll give you a couple little runs that just sort of make that go like so. That was too dark right here. Now, so if you look close, you'll see the little, there's one that's kind of clean. So people look, and the mind ties the rest of that into, oh, that's honey and honeycomb. Got it. Okay, simple as that. I grab a little more of this, and this would be what I sold one of these just the other night because I had one on my desk that says, and I gave one away, Studio B. And so how creative is that, huh? It wasn't like I was the first person to ever think of Studio B. It's just that works really well for what I'm doing when I'm painting bees. And remember, bees have pile, P-I-L-E, not hair. Oh, this little bee has hair. No, I have hair. And I pile it all under my glasses to keep from sliding down. Now I'm just going to put some marks right here with my fountain pen. The fountain pen was a hit. Several people want to go buy fountain pens because you can tell the artists in the room who come and say, hey, what about this? What did you do here? Why did you do that? And they also say, let me see that pen. What is it? I did give away one of these Yasutoma pens, So because I just got a new box full from Phoebe, and I happen to have two in my bag, and I thought, you know what, you got to share one, and so that was kind of fun to do. All right, so there's this bee, and I'll cut it probably right here. Maybe cut this off right in there, make it frameable size. But that gives you an idea of how fast a project comes together on 140-pound watercolor paper. All right. Are you going to start back with Good News Roo? I think I am, and I've been going through the book of Mark for a local church who's been doing a 7-week thing, and I've been painting those journal pieces. So I think I'm going to come back to that, but I need to wait until I got to tell you about another project I'm on. And Mondays, Tuesdays have been my planning days for this new project. And so, but I do want to get back to it. Thank you for that question. I came across a silicone pot holder that has honeycomb shapes. I pressed it into clay. Yeah, Terry Tardy, those are cool, aren't they? I've seen those. So every now and then, God made this. This is the strongest. This is the strongest metal you can get. When it's pressed into honeycomb shape, they support each other. The honeycomb is absolutely unbelievable. Just the fact that bees can do this is just unbelievable. This would be a fun piece too, Terry, for you to take and press into the clay, because you could really get some hard lines down in there if you wanted it. And you could also, by the way, and I'm not going to bend this one, but you could bend it around if you were doing mugs. Oh my gosh. Do you realize if you were doing thone mugs and not pressed out flat mugs, you could take this and this would bend right around the cup. So you could almost take a glove and just go, boom, press it on there. Oh, that'd be cool. Gosh, it makes me want to be a potter. All right. Okay, let's see. I prepared QR codes before an art show in September. Came out to find it was a 10-day free trial, expired before the show. Yeah, that's a bummer. You got to read the fine print. Can we just say that? Terry Tardy went and printed one of these. Sometimes if you go on, make sure you get a free spot and not a spot that cost you. Now, I did a painting a few years ago for Grit Magazine. No, last year about I Know Beans, and it was a rap. It was a poem. Some of you might remember it, right? And this is a photocopy of the back part of the magazine. And so here it was. I know beans. I know butter beans and pinto beans and llamas and navies. I know kidneys and cowpeas and white runners are wavy. I know bush beans and favas, and I know cotton beans unsung. I know black and white and red green beans. I love me some striped mung. I know jack beans and soybeans dressed up hardcore verts, delicious. I seen soaked cranberry beans and back porch dried leather breeches. It goes on and on and on. Every bean that I could come up with. And I thought, I should just do this as a country boy rap, So grab you a hoe and grab that rake and take a scoop of bones. And so basically, I put in here a QR code. See it? Now, I had to buy this one, and it cost me quite a bit. And it was worth 10,000 hits. And so, but when you scanned that, it took you to the song. And so people could, and this was April of 23, so it was over a year ago. And so this is a very color room. He's doing a mic drop here. Don't tell me, my dad used to say, that boy doesn't know beans. Son, you don't know beans. And I go, don't tell me I don't know beans. Don't tell me I don't know beans. And I quoted by the way, back before you ask, I know corn too, scratching the ground, grubbing around swamp farm, roosters do. So wrote the poem, painted the painting, and put a scan in it. So I called Grit Magazine. I said, if y'all ever put a scan on your back page for a piece of artwork? And they went, no, but we'll do it. And so I bought it. So I had to buy it, and I had to pay for it. They wouldn't pick up the cost, but I did. But hey, I contract with them anyway. So my point was, Terry's right on. You got to make sure that if you put a code on it, it's a free code and that you own. And there's lots of places out there. So read the fine print on if you're searching for QR codes, because like everything else, people will say, "Oh, this book costs this much here," and it's why I go like, "Why would I want to pay $35 for it when I found it at a thrift store that has no marks in it for $8.75?" So do your shopping, okay? Good point, Terry. Thank you so much. Love the fuzziness of your little bees. I'm like a Bigfoot. I'm really the fuzziness is just because I'm not that good artist. That's not really it. It's part of, people ask me why I painted so fast, and I said it's not because I'm in a hurry. See what the top of my coffee? Yeah, Here's what my new, look at this. This is what I keep my tea bags in. My tea bags are little Thai food tea bags that are round like this. And this is a little chip can, you know, those little bitty clothespin chips, clothespins, not chips, but they call it small clips. And this is my friend's coffee shop. It's called Brakeman's Coffee, where I display, and he has a sticker and it just fit my can perfectly. It's called Slow Down. And so this is really important to me. And I think art slows people down. And if you paint 857, I must have explained that 50 times the other night. Why is it 857? And I said, because that equals 20. If you paint 20 minutes a day with a good cup of tea in your hand and sitting close by and a paintbrush, you'll be surprised at how well your art looks in 6 months. And in a year, you will be teaching your grandkids to do this, and you'll be pulling people in, okay? All right, did everybody get the idea on this? I just thought of this morning. I thought, I bet people would probably appreciate this. I'll cut a small piece of this. You need to send me $10 because it's the metal. I think it's about $250 a sheet, and I bought it for a project, but I have some left. And they're thinner strips, but if you could find it at a metal supermarket place, they may have some scrap, so go look there. By the time you chase it around all over the place, I'll put you a piece in the mail, and that'll cover postage and my expense on the metal. All right, but send me that here. Boom. Send that right there, roodoodles@gmail.com. Just say, hey, I need a strip of, I need this, and tell me how you'd like to pay. I'll pay you PayPal or I'll pay you Venmo, and I want a piece of that, and go from there. All right. I'm not trying to make money off of it, but I want to. I want you to cover the cost of the material and the postage. Okay. All right. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll do something else with it in a little bit. But there it gives you an idea of how a messy painting can be with some coffee. And it takes this tea a long time to do. All right. Next thing I was going to talk about today is it's that time again, and I hate to say it because we haven't even had Thanksgiving. But I do have a journal workshop coming up this week. That's local. The journals are showstoppers for people when they see them. If you do anything on a small journal and you show people that small art equals big art, it makes a difference in people talking to you about what you're doing as an artist. It just does. I met a lady from Maine who said, well, I just love Maine. And I go, well, so open the Maine Journal. And so I wound up having two people hold it and talk to her through it. And she goes, oh, I've been there. I've had that to eat. That's my favorite place. I love this. So we went through it all. And then she said, can I video that and send it to my family in Maine? And I said, certainly. So we laid it in the floor. So she videoed it. She goes, wait, I'm not happy with that, but I'll video it again. Have any of you sold art at a crafts fair? Yes, they have. And let's see. Miss Carla, some people will talk to you about that. And here's the thing. Take art that you feel good about selling, that you feel like communicates who you are. And I don't do crafts fairs, but my daughter does a juried one. She used to all the time. And what I mean juried is you have to send their work and they approve you. There's only so many artists who come to this thing. She does one in Greenville, used to. And she would take quite a few pieces of her art and do extremely, extremely well. In fact, pay for a lot of dinners out and lots of art supplies and plus. So you can do that. Just don't put something out there and put it so outrageous that people don't want to buy it, and then you feel like they're going like, well, that's too expensive or too expensive. Everybody's going to say it's too expensive. And so just put a fair price on it for you. So if you're waiting on that. Okay, so here's what I'm working on right now. I'm going to pull another piece of Kilimanjaro paper off of this small pad. It's that time again where it's time for me to, there, I trimmed that. It's time to trim the tree. It's time for me to think I got to paint Christmas pictures again. And I'm trying to, well, it's not, I don't have to. I'll do my Christmas series, and I'll do several different, I'll come up with a couple new ones this year, I'm sure. But my point is, would I do a Christmas piece that you could have by the end of Thanksgiving if I post it in the next couple of weeks, and then you can get it framed and give it as gifts. And so that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm probably all original, so it takes me a while to do them. And Lori says she'd rather give her art away. I think that's fantastic. Those of you who are Langston, I saw that snow in Colorado, man. I have a friend who sent me a picture that must have been 8 or 10 inches on the back porch. And so I love that. So here's the thing. Go to the kitchen. Yeah. And boy, Terry, you've got some great comments today, but it's because Terry is an artist who travels around as a potter. Terry Tardy Turquoise. You know who she is, right? Okay. She says sales are typically better at art fairs and crafts fairs. But booth fees are less expensive at crafts fairs. And so the thing about that is that crafts, how can I say this? And I don't want to insult anybody, but if I just write kids' names on a clothespin, Rue, and I say, hey, we're making personalized clothespins and they're $4 each, and I'm at a crafts fair, it's a true craft. And I might do 2 of them. I might stand them up, and I might, the point is that people are going to look at you and go, well, for $3, I can buy 100 clothespins, and for another $1.90, I can get a Sharpie, and I can make my own names on those pins. And so why would I buy that? So you have to think like an artist. You have to think, what am I doing with this clothespin that makes it worth $3? But if and so I say, you know what I use a clothespin for? I use them to hang my art on the little tomato vines, on the little tomato, here, let me hold it in front of my face there, and the little tomato vines in little strings when I'm displaying art. Because I don't want to take my art framed because I may not choose a frame that people like. This is why I don't ship art framed. And it would cost you so much more. Sometimes I've had pieces framed that cost me $150. Well, rarely do I sell a piece of art for $150. In a gallery, several times I have. But I don't display except in one place right now. And I put them in a little inexpensive frame just like this so that you feel okay about putting something else in this. And this is the one I buy right here. It has an Eiffel Tower on it. This is it. And this goes at the coffee shop. So I'll send them a dozen of these over with originals in them. And that's what they look like right there. And this is got a 4x6 in here, but it's 5x7. And so that's what I paint. And I drop it in. Boop. And by the way, Kilimanjaro paper, trimmed out, fits right in there. Boom, just like that. Chop it off here. So this is the perfect one for Christmas. That makes sense? These are some great questions, and you guys are asking questions now for like a group of people. And Terry, that's a great helpful point, is that if you ever getting selected at an art show is a little more high end on your skills than it is a craft show. Anybody and their brother and their brother's brother and their crazy Uncle Charlie can come to a crafts fair and buy a booth for $20. An art show booth generally costs you $75 to $275, depending on if it's indoors, outdoors, and the space size that you want. So you've invested more right from the get-go. So Terry knows this from being on the road and selling that. I've gladly paid $100 to have a piece of your art framed. Yeah, and I do appreciate that. And that's what happens. The point is that you turned it in from a $40 piece of art to a sell art of probably $240. And so I had a lady here, my first gallery I went to, Small Works. She took 8 pieces of my art. She put them on the wall, and they were priced at $425 to $475. And I panicked. I also felt like I wanted to go across the room and stand somewhere else. This was quite a few years ago. And I liked the work, and I'd never seen it. It was matted. It was non-glare glass. It was beautiful maple frames, and the frames and the mats all matched. It had been done professionally. But she had $150, $175 into some of the framing and work. And plus, we split the cost anyway. But every time a check came from when I sold those people, and I did 8, then they ordered 8 more, and then there was 3 times that I did 24 paintings, and now they've all sold over the years. But the point is that when you go into a house and you see it, you go, wow, that's a great piece of art. It just makes the art pop. So thank y'all for saying that. Okay, that's not just my art. Some people mat and some don't. It just depends. I don't mat these. This is a little faux mat in here. But and then I had a friend who got into it big time and decided to mat and frame all his own work. And you know what? He loved it for about 2 years. And then he went, I got all this matting equipment. I've got all this and I've got all this stuff. And okay, you know about me. I always put all my Christmas trees in buckets. Why? I think it's because I grew up in East Tennessee and we always displayed our tree in a bucket. Okay. And we just didn't have and sometimes we just would bring a cedar tree in. It wasn't that we didn't enjoy Christmas, but, it's like, hey, we put it up, 2 weeks before Christmas. And then the day after Christmas, it was like, this little house we lived in, we was like, we don't need that thing taking up any more space in here because now I got, bicycle I'm riding in the house and I got all this other stuff. And so for me, this is my first little Christmas deal. This is just a little quick to show you how fast I'm going to do something that's creative. And this is a fun little painting. So I just do this with this pen. I'm going to see what this looks like when I'm finished with it. And here's the thing. And then I'm going to draw this crazy big ornament right here. There we go. I'm not playing Christmas music. Okay, I'm just not going to go that far. But I want to have some of my Christmas pieces done before Thanksgiving. So that's the point of this. Sounds like I need some more tea, doesn't it? I could be doing my Sam voice this morning. Christmas. All right, so there's the first little piece, and so for me, I'm just going to go get a little bit. I'm going to use a bigger brush than normal. This is at number 8 again, just for fun. I'm just going to throw some water in here and start breaking this apart, just like this. And I do need some music for this, though, but not Christmas music. Sounds like let's just do something kind of fun here. What do we got? Need something that has to do with water. I'm looking. Still looking. Hey, oh yeah, there we go. Water. Song's called Wash Water. I like this little blue-gray in there. If I'm gonna make a spruce out of this, and I'm gonna grab some darker green, put that in the back, right in there, like that. You see that I'm not really painting. I'm just using my I'm using this as I would a blotter of some sort. I'm just kind of jumping around all over the place, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get a little more lighter color and bring some of that out like this. See, you wondered how I was going to get a Christmas tree out of that? I just did. Take a look at that. And it's not that I'm trying to rush or race, and it's not that it's the greatest tree in the world, but it proves my point because this is my style, okay? All right, so I talked about QR codes today. I talked about communicating with your guests, anybody you're even doing art with. And some of you I know have some workshops coming up. You're doing some things like that. Listen, connect with those people and listen. And it's hard to do that the way I do this show here. I'll just tell you that because it's one-sided, and I just have to keep talking so that you go, what the heck's he working on now, instead of just guessing. And so that's kind of where that goes. I'm a little more green coming down here in this bucket. I always use a green bucket. I think it matches the tree. That's kind of probably why I did that. What am I going to do with all this extra time? I'm going to have 5 minutes here. I could have painted 2 of these. There's the pen. This is a good sign of how this pen bleeds. Am I going to do away with the needle tip 05 pen tail? No. This is a gel pen, though, and it's also 05. And by the way, it's very needle tip. And if you look and find out, you probably find that this was made by not the same people, but they got a brother hidden somewhere, I'll tell you that. And I've met with these people. They're really fun. The people in Torrance, California. Phoebe sent me a box of pens this week. That's how I got those back. I just sent her a note and said, Phoebe, I painted more of these things than you can actually imagine. Would you send me a box? And they just showed up, folks. They just showed up. You got to love that, right? All right, so a little water on that Christmas ball first, and then just watch it race. Look at it go across the page. Can you see that? It's moving right there. Boom. See it move? Now watch this. If you haven't done this in a while, okay, I'm going to come back with a little more right in here, just here. All right, now I'm going to clean my brush out. Got a clean brush. Take a look at that. See that? Now I'm just going to, okay, just a damp brush. And now I'm going to move this over to the other side to show where the light's coming down. See that? This is going to give it a little more of a sphere looking concept right there. See that? That's pretty cool. See that? A little light coming from. Even a little holiday right there, moving it over. Look at this number 8 brush, but I'm taking my time to get it right in there, right out of the lines right there. But the lines are not really for me anyway. They're for other people. Just a touch of French gray and a touch of just actual, I think, Getz gray is what that's called. Getz. Getz gray. A friend of mine, the Getz family. Live here in Charlotte. They have nothing to do with this paint. But I think of them every time I reach in, it's some Getz gray. It's kind of fun to change the brush sizes too sometimes. I'm going to show you a new brush in the last 2 minutes of the show. Ready for this? Here, I'll just show it to you right now. Here we go. Let me clean this brush out. Here it goes. This brush, stop that music. You hear this? And whoop. Okay, here it is. I painted all 200 bees with this brush right here. Remember I told you I started painting in 2005, just in my first journal, 2010, I think it was. I don't know. No, it's 2000. I don't know. This is a very inexpensive brush. It's a Lowell Cornell, but they don't make this particular one anymore. It's an 1/8 inch. It's called a dagger, D-A-G-G-E-R. Can you see the tip on the brush? Let me hold it right here on this so you can see the tip. Can you see that? Okay, there's the tip on this brush. Okay, there it is. Now, I went searching for a dagger brush, and this is what I came up with. It's an 1/8 inch. I really like that size for those little bees that I was painting. Remember the little bee buns? Got to be painted with something like this right here. So I'll just take and drag that in like this. Look at that. And then I wash my brush out quickly. I dip it into my Halloween orange, and I just go here and here with a little touch of orange. And there's my bee hiney, so to speak. Okay, so that's kind of what I was going to do right here when I reach and get a little bit of brown and come in and just do his beak a little brown. Why do I do the beak brown? Because if I did the beak yellow, it would be hidden by the yellow body on my little peeps. And so I didn't want to do that. But I also am going to put a little bit of orange in this peep, and I'm also going to put a little bit of black in there. So that's why I changed down to a smaller brush and just get a little break in the amount of paint I'm pushing in. Okay, so come out here, which is a little bit like this. And now, by the way, if I want to, I can come back in with my fountain pen and I can just do some other little detail here. And by the way, this fountain pen, the Lamy, had several people look at it the other night. It does great, but it doesn't do as well as in water. These pens really do better in water. That is, if they're writing anyway. So once this is dried out a little bit, you're going to get some great little pen marks in here. And I'll just do a few little limbs and some extra dots, spots, and then maybe even a couple on this. And I think I'm going to take this out just a little farther right here. And watch what I'm going to do with this shadow. And I'm wrapping up here in 2 minutes because I got to go do pancakes for my house guest, Kenzai, and the foreign exchange student we have here today. So there's my little, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab, but I'll use this little brush. This is that Whoops, wrong one. Did I tell you what it was? It is a original gold by Kingart, if you're taking notes. Premium 1/8 original gold King Art, Kingart, and it's called a 1/8 inch dagger. And by the way, it's made in Sri Lanka, which is kind of funny because this pen was made in Sri Lanka too. Huh? Yep. Gosh, it may be brothers in crime. Okay. All right. So that's the brush. I think it's $9 on Amazon. And it has been, for those of you who do tiny little things, this little angled dagger tip has been a great little brush. Some of you may have it, but I just wanted to show you. I carry it in my shirt pocket, and I did all those bees with that brush, all those little 3x3 bees. So it's kind of fun to do. I'm going to go get a little royal amethyst and throw it right in here like this, just in this shadow, just because, and then I'm going to pick up just a touch of red so that that shadow has just got a little bit of red under it, just like right there. And we could go one size bigger. All right. Hey, books are still out there. If you're interested, I don't know what I did with them. Here they are. This is what I read this morning to my grandson. I you know what? These are on Amazon. People ask Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle. Thank you, Pat. Roobots, and I'll say, hey Roo, what's a wheelbarrow? And I'm still working on something. And next week I'm going to come to you probably live from a donut shop just for a few minutes. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. But I want to talk to you about a new project that I'm working on that's really kind of fun, and it's for families and grandkids and parents, and so it should have some fun parts to it. Okay, love all the conversations going on today. Thank you guys for supporting me so much, encouraging me. It really helps me when I go out and sort of have test marketed some of the things that I say to people out there, and you all respond to them, and you all are doing it. And I say there's a painting community that you need to follow, and some of them are following you, so it's kind of really fun. All right, so there you go. Miss Carla, it says no charges for a table, free on the parking lot. I got nothing to lose. Then by golly, get out there and celebrate and be a light in a place, and just be friendly with people and say, why aren't you painting? You should be. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? It's the most fun you can have. And hadn't had this much fun since the hogs ate my little brother. All right, so there you go. There's my little first Christmas tree of the season. And I probably will come back and just touch a little more red on here to heighten that up a little bit. And then I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. Here's what this bee looks like dried. I'll post one of these today. There's the bee. And that's a big old bee. You want to see how big he is? There's my iPhone right there, so you can see how big that bee is. All right. Appreciate you all. Let's see. Amazon, yes. I said my books are on Amazon, of course. Or maybe that's something else. Appreciate you much. I'll see you when I see you. Soon, I hope. I used to have where's my orchestra? They're laying down here somewhere.